Welcome back, everyone, to the weekly Armchair Sports Talk podcast. And this is Devil's Advocate. This is our Premier League prediction show. So, as you all know from last year's Premier League prediction show, it was a packed show like it is here today. And let's just say there was many good predictions, but also a lot of dubious ones as well. So today I've got a whole different panel on the Premier League prediction show than from last year's, except I'm here. So you still have to deal with my face here in the show today. So first of all, we are joined by Martin, and our Newcastle fan here today. Also beside Martin, we are joined by Rach from Three Devils and the Gooners. We are joined by Chris from Leicester Till I Die. Also joined by our resident Arsenal fan from the London Lowdown, Mr. William Bryant, and our London Lowdown host, but also Man United fan, Mr. Reese Russell. So, packed show here today. We're all different clubs represented here today. And as always, do smash that like button, hit the subscribe button if you're new. And we have a lot of content coming with this Premier League season. Back up and running this weekend. Can't fucking wait. Anyway, may as well dive into it straight away. Let's dive into it straight away. Obviously, the European Championships have ended. And look, as it all was, great festival of football. We all thoroughly enjoyed the Euros. Well, if you're Irish, you didn't have anyone to support, but it was still a good time to be alive. But anyway, they're all good, and obviously transfer window opens, and as is when a transfer window is open, it's like silly season, rumors everywhere, shock signings, big money signings, and just a lot of things have happened in this transfer window in the leading up to probably one of the biggest Premier League seasons in quite some time, because fans are back this season. Obviously, fans, we haven't been at full capacity in about 2 years. So obviously, it's a really big time for all Premier League clubs this season. So going to dive straight into the transfer window. Martin, I'm just going to come to you first. Obviously, last season with Newcastle, it was kind of a roller coaster last season. Obviously, we spoke on this podcast a couple of months ago about a potential takeover, which the Premier League blocked, which is unfortunate because you're stuck with Mike Ashley. But looks like in the last couple of days there's been a bit of movement in kind of your transfer window. Let's talk to us kind of what's going on at Newcastle in terms of transfer window, what kind of business you've done in terms of incomings and outgoings this summer.
That's my dog barking, don't mind that crap. He's having a fit at the neighbour. Yeah, look, I mean, I think for us it was going to be a weird start to this campaign because obviously the takeover didn't happen. We've got an owner who wants to sell his asset. We've got a consortium, including PIF, Staveley, and the Reuben brothers, who want to buy the club and invest. And for some reason, the Premier League don't want that to happen. So, you've with an owner in Ashley that wants to get out, the difficulty we've got going into a new season is he doesn't want to spend. So, all the time that the takeover is bubbling away in the background, we've got arbitration, put back to 2022. We've got a CAT case due to be run on the 29th of September. Ashley doesn't spend at the best of times. When we do, we go and try and get young players with sell-on value. That's the club's, ethos. Last couple of days, obviously, we seem to have made a bit of ground. It looks, in fairness to Will, it looks like Arsenal are going to give us Joe Willock. Obviously came to us last season on loan, did really well. Fans loved him, went on a scoring streak, probably saved our asses, if all is known, because obviously we had Wilson out, Joe Linton playing out of position, not scoring, played okay when Wilson came back. But, Willock kind of is the man that apparently has been our top target. For Newcastle fans, there's a lot of fans who are delighted because, we like the kid, think he'll do a good job. 21 at 25 million, I think it's a really good deal. Surprised Arsenal don't want to keep a hold of him. I really am. But when you've got the likes of Saka, you've got Smith Rowe, it's obvious there's a lot of players in front of him. So, I get why he'd want to go. If we get him, be delighted. Apparently his medical is today. We're hoping for an announcement either Wednesday, Thursday. We've had a deal turned down for Boubary Samri, I think it is, from Marseille. That looks like that was put out at 14 million. They've rejected that. And the rumour mill is anywhere between Phil Jones, Messi, and which that's now resolved, and Nat Phillips from Liverpool. So
Jones or Messi? Which one of them? Which one of them is resolved?
no,
Jones or Messi?
It's actually his dad, because we're hoping he'd be better in defence than what we've got at the moment. But yeah, look, I mean, if we get the problem with getting Willock from a Newcastle perspective, and we me and the lads spoke about this on Loaded Mag on our channel on Friday night. Getting Willock only gets us back to where we were last season. It doesn't get us ahead of anything. So the problem is we're no further forward than we were last season. So we probably we need a little bit, we need in Willock, we need that box-to-box midfielder and a bit of creativity. If we can keep Wilson fit, we've got goals in the team. Defensively, we need a bit of physicality and we need a bit of athleticism. We don't have that. Lascelles seems to have gone a bit backwards. So it's really hard to see, where else we can improve. But I think, look, there's 2.5 or so weeks to go before the end of the window. I'd expect to see a couple more people in. We've let 6 or 7 go, mainly lads out on loan. Andy Carroll's been released. There's a question over the Longstaff brothers. For some reason, Bruce doesn't want to play Matty. If you're not going to play him, send the kid out on loan, let him get some game time. Don't know. Sean Longstaff looks like he's lost a good chunk of weight, looks fit for the season, doesn't seem to get a game. So again, with Steve Bruce, we don't know what we're going to get this season. We just really don't.
Yeah, maybe you're just missing like a short stick.
In my opinion, just with Newcastle, I thought Steve. Like, in my opinion, just like with Newcastle, I thought Steve Bruce, like, there was times last year where I did have my doubts that he was going to keep his job. Like, I thought there would have been times where there was times where Ashley could have really pulled the trigger, but he didn't. And look, to be fair, towards the back end of the season, though, he done well to stay up. In the league, and there was a good bit of form. And you're right, Callum Wilson came in, done a good job. With regards to that, and look, he likes to Willock in, like, he keep you to your midfield. And thinking if you look at kind of get the centre back in, I think that's important. I know you were linked with Axel Tuanzebe from United just there last week. Villa swooped in the last minute to get Axel in. But look, if you do get someone maybe on the lines of a Holden, does he improve from what I already have? Or me personally, from a selfish point of view, I wouldn't mind if you took Phil Jones from us, because that frees up his wages off our books. Not even because, look, on his day he can be a decent centre back, but I think when you look at his wage at Manchester United and you look at the signing of Rafael Varane, is he realistically going to get a game next season? The chances are very, very slim, barring a mass injury crisis, like a Liverpool-style injury crisis where we make 20 million excuses for centre-backs. But barring that, Phil Jones probably doesn't get a game Man United this season. So, look, I think his time is up. But other than that, I think Newcastle, if they get a centre-back, maybe get another striker in as well. Because obviously they're heavily reliant on Callum Wilson, and obviously Alan St. Maximin is a very good player as well. So maybe another forward might do the world of good as well in terms of taking off Wilson and St. Maximin to kind of deliver the goods. Because obviously I said Clinton, it hasn't really worked out for him. So I think maybe another forward as well might do the world of good in the window.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, one of the ones that we spoke about, myself and Daz and the lads there the other night, like there's people out there defensively on that you can get as a free agent. Like Gary Cahill is out there on a free agency. Now, I'm not saying he's got the legs and the athleticism we need, but you know what? I'd take him for a season just to steady the ship at the back and give us a little bit of leadership on that back line. Lascelles is captain, and anybody that watches us on Loaded HQ will tell you every week I come on and I slate him and I go, not my captain. He was fantastic when Rafa was there, because Rafa stood on that line and he coached him week in, week out, told him when to stand, when to push forward, when to push back. Bruce doesn't do that. Bruce will stand there, has no plan B. When everything's gone wrong, Bruce will then make changes. We know that all of our subs are all going to be put on. He'll play 5 right backs, a striker out of position, and done the same as he's done at Sunderland, at Villa, and everywhere else. Graham Jones came in and seems to put a bit more oomph about it, seems to have given us a bit more strategy. we're definitely going to start the season playing 5 at the back. He's going to play 2 wing backs. So we'll play 5-3-2, or he'll play 5-4-1, one of those. But I would have taken just a couple of players just to really cement. Like someone like Gary Cahill, I would love to have seen us gone for Ross Barkley. I think could do a massive job for us. Nobody seems to have gone for him. I know he has his problems, and some might look at him as a bit of a problem child, but I thought he did all right at Villa on loan. Unlucky to get injured, but he could do a job. The other one that's out there currently that's a free agent that I'd love to take, and I don't know why Newcastle aren't all over it, is Rondon. Just to change the subject. But yeah, I'd be all over Rondon and try and get Rondon back in. So yeah, there's a few there, but yeah.
You can name the first one Aubameyang and see who scores 20
well.
season.
Yeah, like Rondon probably be a good option. Like he gives you something different as well. Like he's a target man. Like he's good hold up play as well. So he may be an option for you. And as I said, like I think like Bruce is an experienced manager, but is he someone that's going to propel you to what Rafa done? Probably not, because Rafa, was kind of that next level manager for you. But
exactly, if you look at last season, Bruce had a better points tally and better position than Rafa did in the 2 seasons he was there. But what you had with Rafa was you had a manager that connected with the club and connected with the fans, and he was probably loved more because he didn't bow down to Ashley. And the problem for Newcastle fans is, the whole thing with Bruce in him being great because he's a Geordie. A lot of Newcastle fans, I don't give a shit where Steve Bruce came from. But the problem is he hasn't connected with the fans. He's been awful in the press conferences. His selections have been dubious. His formations have been woeful. We've lost games we should never have lost. That's why fans don't like him. The problem that we have, as you said, he should have had the trigger pulled that season. Absolutely. We went on an 11-game losing streak. We were third bottom. We were woeful. Ashley won't pull the trigger, A, because the takeover's still there in the background, and B, because Bruce is exactly the kind of manager that Ashley loves, which is sits in the background, doesn't argue,
yes,
he's happy with nothing, and a big yes man. And all the time that Bruce does that and keeps us in the Premier League, that's his remit. We've got no remit to be any higher than 17th. As long as we stay in that league, Mike Ashley does not care.
Do you not think that there will be a little bit more pressure on every manager this season because the stadiums will be back full again? Like I said the same about, like Arteta and Ollie and people like Brucey and those people at the bottom of the table. Like you think about Southampton as well. Like, are the fans going to put a lot more pressure on the club and the owners to really get results? And if they don't churn them out, the fans will be right on their back. And you could see a lot more managers walk this season than you did last season.
Absolutely. Again, that was one of the topics that we chatted on. I think if we'd had 52,000 in St James's Park last season on the run that we were on, then I think Bruce would have been gone because Ashley would have had it. Now, any Newcastle fan will tell you, even if Ashley by chance did pull the trigger, he's got a ready-made replacement in Graham Jones ready to go in. So Graham Jones is helping coach. Very well known. Bruce and Jones don't get on. They seem to be at loggerheads down at Everton. It's no coincidence for a Newcastle fan, certainly in my opinion, that Graham Jones came in, altered things around. We went 5-3-2, and all of a sudden we started winning games. That's not by chance. So we firmly believe that Graham Jones pulls a lot of the strings, a lot of the training, comes up with the ideas, and Bruce is more so the front man. What you'll get this season we've got a couple of games definitely in the first 6 we should win. If over the first 6 to 10 games we don't start winning a few games, St James's Park will be toxic, absolutely toxic. The secondary problem you have with that toxicity is the Newcastle fan base is absolutely 100% divided. You've got some people that are just will support the club through thick and thin, no matter the manager. And to be fair, that's how it should be. Support the 11 on the pitch. But you've then got another percentage of fans who will turn that toxicity not only into the ground, but on Twitter, Facebook, social media, everything else. And it's a completely divided loyalty. And somebody said to me the other day on one of the shows, trying to get Newcastle as a fan base to be united is like trying to corral a bag of cats.
Sounds
it's
a bit like
it's
sounds a bit
just
like us.
impossible. Yeah,
I think we three can speak for experience. We're used to every single bloody week.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just the generation of
but
fans.
look, we won't talk about them. We won't
You know who
talk
else,
about them
actually?
United fans who.
You know what else? An interesting point. You know, you mentioned about fans there. There's one other manager who's actually recently left the Premier League who definitely would have been sacked last year if COVID hadn't been involved, and his name's Carlo Ancelotti. Because Everton's home form last year was the worst I've ever seen in terms of like Everton in the Premier League. I think it's the worst I've never seen him have a home record like that before. He would have been sacked, and that's Carlo Ancelotti.
I think a bigger thing for me, like I get Ashley, right? My anger this season isn't with the manager. We've had Ashley for 14 years. He is what he is. We know that. Newcastle fans' anger should be at the Premier League because they're the ones that are holding up this deal. And if you look back at the last 3-4 years, we've had, prior to Mike Ashley, we'd only ever been relegated once in 50, 60 years. We've had 2 with Ashley, nearly 3 last year. But the Premier League's piece, and I know, Keane will probably want to move on. The Premier League's piece, every single club, the top 6, listen, you'll hear Newcastle fans giving out shit. Top 6 cartel, right? Man United, Liverpool, Arsenal, Spurs, Chelsea. Didn't want takeovers, all this other nonsense, right? Shrubs intervening, Spurs didn't want it to happen, all this other stuff, right? I don't really care. At the end of the day, the Premier League have a duty of care to every single club in that Premier League. And for me, they look and they talk and they go, well, Newcastle fans, takeover's not going to happen, it's blocked. But where's their duty of care to us with Ashley as an owner who's letting a massively proud club with 50,000 every week turning out every second week at a home game, and it's just being run into the ground? And my anger is with the Premier League because they're sitting back, not allowing a takeover to go through for whatever political reasons, whether it's state-owned, not state-owned. I don't really give a shit. What I want is the
did they leave Manchester City's owners do what they do?
They did.
The Premier League aren't transparent, though, Martin.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's what we've been calling for, Keane. We want... For me, it's dead easy. If there's a problem with this takeover, and I know I'm going slightly off tangent, but I'm trying to put it into context as a fan. If there's a problem with the takeover, from the Premier League's perspective, as fans of the club of one of the 20 that's in that Premier League, just tell us what the problem is. What's the problem? How can we fix it? And let's move on. If it's a problem over piracy, fair enough. How can we move it on? But you're treating fans like gullible idiots. We pay tickets, we pay shirts, we pay season tickets. We pump the money into the Premier League and they're treating fans like gobshites. And that, for me, they've got a duty of care. And my anger is with the Premier League because I think their duty of care and what they've done in particular, not just to Newcastle fans, other clubs as well, is absolutely a disgrace. So my anger isn't with the manager. I've always been pissed at Ashley because I hate him. But my anger this season round is with the Premier League because I think they've allowed Newcastle to fall into disrepair and done nothing about it. And I ask, where is the duty of care? Rant over.
Yeah,
sorry,
and
anyway,
that's the thing. And with the Premier League, like when you look at the Premier League, look at the amount of owners they leave do what they do. Glazers at United, Kroenke at Arsenal. They leave Manchester City. Break all the rules basically.
Burnley's owned by a company out of Delaware in the US, and they don't even know who the owner is. It's a corporation in Delaware. So how can that be right in the Premier League, fitting proper owners when they don't even know who our owner is? But yet you can't have a Saudi investment fund coming in and taking a club who've bought Facebook, Disney, Twitter, and everything else. It just baffles belief. But anyway, let's see what comes. We can only do what's on the pitch, but
yeah, I think it'd be interesting to see if you do get that takeover.
I think it will eventually. I'm still believe that somewhere along the line there'll be a compromise. The whole cap thing and everything else. I think the Premier League will want to keep stuff stum because there's a lot of stuff that if it comes out, I think there is dirt there, and I can't see the Premier League want that washed in public. So I think somewhere along the line there'll be a compromise, and it'll happen in some format. But the point, I suppose, the biggest point I would say is this could be any one club. It could be any one of the 20 in that Premier League that had the opportunity of this takeover, and the Premier League would have done it to any club. It could be a Spurs. It could be Burnley. It could be a Southampton. Where's the transparency? If you have nothing to hide, be transparent.
They've done it to us as well, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can remember, 1998, they blocked a £600 million takeover because they thought it would be too expensive to control.
Yeah.
So there is no transparency.
I get this. Look, I get this bits there, Reece. Do you know what I mean? I get this bits there. This goes through. It changes the owners and directors test. It changes how ownership is made. All those kind of things. But the Bosman rule changed the way that players could be signed. Things change. The book changes. The rules change because of things like this. So work it out. It's frustrating. I'm sure
the league. Isn't the way you look at it? I think there's so many different things that aren't right with the way the league's been run. Like, you look all the fiasco of the Super League, how the clubs, there's a lack of punishment. You look at what Manchester City are doing, they're running riot basically in terms of breaking every single rule under the rising sun. Burnley getting load of debt loaded onto their club as well. As I said, lack of transparency is there. And look, it's just, I think that's just the way it has been over the last couple of years. And look, we'll just see if things change, especially fans coming back. And look, it'll just be interesting to see what happens kind of next 6 to 12 months.
Exactly.
Rachel.
Hello.
Since we're talking about owners, obviously last season there was a big game between United and Liverpool that was called off, obviously due to what happened with the whole fiasco with the Super League. Mm-hmm. Since then, the Glazers have absolutely shot the bag, and it looks like they've actually come with their hands in pockets and they've invested in Manchester United this summer. Obviously, we've got Jadon Sancho and Rafael Varane in. How's it you're feeling over them signings and United's overall transfer base, and kind of what kind of stead that puts us into next season?
Look, I think you can look at the whole protest situation, the owner situation. I knew from the get-go that they would spend this summer because of the whole fiasco with the Super League and everything that happened. The trust was broken and they're trying to rebuild it with money. But the wool won't be pulled over our eyes. We completely understand what they're doing and how they're going about things. But I don't think I've seen transfer efficiency like this in a long, long time. Like, yes, the Jadon Sancho situation was dragged out for 18 months to 2 years, but we got him at a lower price. We were pipped to spend 120 million on him last year, and to be fair play to them, they stuck to their guns and got him for a lot less this season, which I think this season is a fair price. Rafael Varane, I think I was very shocked about how quick that was. I thought he was using us for a new contract, like everyone seems to do. As soon as they throw United in, they negotiate for a new contract. But I think that transfer, it was off and then it was on and then it was done all so quickly. And I don't think I've seen efficiency like that in a while. I was hoping for maybe one more by now. I was hoping for that DM role to be occupied, or at least nearly occupied by now, but we don't seem to be making any headway there. But I think that is the main.
That's depending on the outgoings. When looking at things, that's depending on the outgoings.
Yeah, so I think Big Rom, he needs to sign with Chelsea like ASAP, because that's doing my head in as well. So we can get our cash from Inter and then, use them funds to go get that DM that we need, because Ollie's looked at the squad and he's seen the frailties and where we need to, strengthen, and he's strengthened in those positions. But it's just that one piece that's crucial to our success next season, and that is the DM, because we won't get anywhere with McFred in midfield again, because it just doesn't work. Two holding midfielders, I don't like it, but I know Ollie seemed to like it last year with obviously Maguire and Lindelof at the back isn't the best stability, so I guess he needed two holding midfielders. But I think when you put Rafael Varane at the back instead of Lindelof, you do have that little bit more stability at the back. So I'm hoping that just a competent DM in there. I've said this before, a DM is probably one of the easiest positions in football. You don't have to be world class. You don't have to do fancy shit. You don't have to score. You don't really have to defend that well. You just need to be able to fucking pass the ball that's the only thing that you need to do is pass the ball and pass it right, not sideways, not backwards, pass it forward and just get it out your feet. So we just need a competent DM in there. I love McTominay, but I think he's more of a box-to-box. I don't think he's... I think he has the potential to be a good DM, but we need someone now that's a good DM now rather than someone who can be in the future.
Yeah, 100%. I echo that. Like, I love Scott McTominay as well. I think, like, look, he's better at, kind of getting forward. I think he's kind of a player who arrives late into the box, so he's a goal threat. He got his best goal scoring last season. I think, like, look, he'll get better. I think maybe later on in his career, I think maybe he can slot into a defensive midfield role maybe later on in his career. But right now, he's strong. So he has that kind of break of pace. So for me, I think Scott McTominay is a player who can definitely use in the box-to-box position, but in kind of sitting midfielder, not yet in his career. But look, yeah, I echo it. Look, I think, as Matt says in the comments as well, Varane is a bigger sign than Sancho. I think it is. Like, Varane coming in, there's a world-class centre-back, proven winner, and I think he's someone who will make a massive difference to this team. And look, you've him and Harry there now, who are two top centre-backs. You've Luke Shaw, who was arguably the best full-back in the league last season. And, like, all of a sudden, we have a very good back four. We have a settled back four. And it's something we haven't had in quite some time. Chris, I'm going to come to you because Leicester have had, again, I say this to every time I speak to you. I'm always full of praise. Leicester have had a good summer. You brought Samari in, you brought in Daka, and you looks like you're showing just efficiency after another very good season. Just talk to us about your transfer window and kind of, do you think this transfer window can propel you into the top four after becoming close to the last 2 seasons?
First of all, I'd like to say on behalf of 19 Premier League clubs, thank God Sancho's finally signed. That has got to be the longest drawn out, least interested for 19 other clubs who couldn't give a damn transfer going. Thank God, But hey, you've got your man now. You've got your man. Yeah. There's so many. I mean, you know what it's like this time of year. We're going to sell off our squad by another half back in, but we make mistakes with transfers, but we get it right. In the majority. I mean, Daka. I mean, he's shit off a shovel. He's so quick. He's Jamie Vardy Mark II. He's gonna bag us loads of goals. Samari. I mean, you got 2 players there from Champions League qualified clubs, and people said, "Oh, we won't get into the Champions League. We won't get decent players because we're not in the top 4, not in the Champions League." Well, one guy from Salzburg, one guy from Lille, both top their own league, both of them in the Champions League have come to us. And to me, though, the best sign is Ryan Bertrand from Southampton. We lost Christian Fuchs.
Very good sign.
Yeah, we've got Luke Thomas, who is a fantastic prospect. He really is. I mean, he's 19. He's played first team football for less than a full season, and yet he's got more medals than Jack Grealish. So it's he's going to be but bringing Ryan Bertrand in, I mean, we've got somebody that can get the ball over the wall when it's a free kick at last. It was going well at our window until we got the injury to Fofana, because now we've got to go out and get a centre back in, which might mean we don't get the right back that we want. And it's funny because I was late coming into this because I was doing an interview on my own show with Rob Tanner, who is the Leicester City writer for The Athletic. I was talking transfers with him, and I've got to say, I don't think Cahill will go to Newcastle because he might be coming to Leicester. Sorry, mate, but he's free. We need somebody at the back because Fofana's out till next season. Justin's out, and Evans keeps getting injured, and he's the experienced one. bring Cahill in for a season, and he'll just give us that stability, that leadership, that been there, seen it, got the T-shirt. I'd snap your hand off to get him in just for the year until we sort the injuries out. Failing that, it could be Vestergaard. The interesting thing is with us is who might go, and that's the worrying thing.
Yeah, I was just going to touch on that because obviously we have an Arsenal and a Leicester fan here, so it's actually something I wanted to bring up in terms of transfers. Arsenal are obviously linked with James Maddison, Chris. Are you any way concerned that he will leave because he's been an important player for Leicester in the last couple of years?
I actually said to Rob Tanner, I said, I mentioned three names: Tillemans, Ndidi, and Maddison. And he shook his head to all of those. Now, we're not saying that it won't happen. What he's saying is, at this point, and this guy, he was for 10 years, he was the chief writer for Leicester City for the local paper, so he knows the stuff, he's got the contacts. If it happens, it happens, but you're going to have to come in with a decent offer. If we've sold Maguire to Man United for 80 million, Arsenal have just paid 50 million for a defender for a team that nearly got relegated, and they think they're going to get Maddison for 40-50 million. Sorry, bollocks, it's not going to happen. If you're serious and you want Maddison, and I'm not saying that he won't go to you, but you're going to have to come and put 70+ million pounds on the table for us. He just signed a 4-year contract, so there's no get out clause in there. We learned that with Kanté. We don't do that anymore. It's like Maguire at Man United. You guys came to us and said, we'll give you 60 million. We went, no, we don't need to sell him. And you came back and you went, we'll give you 70 million. And we went, no, we don't need to sell him. And you finally came back and said, here's 80 million. And we went, we paid 19 million for this guy. Yeah, we'll have 80 million. Thank you very much. We'll build a new training ground. So if Arsenal, and Arsenal are offering us, and no disrespect to the Arsenal guy there, but, they're offering us 4 players and a bit of money. Well, if they're not good enough to get into a team that's finished 8th, they're not going to be good enough for Leicester City, who are in the Europa League next season and have finished 5th. But put the money on the table. And I think what you've got to look at is the players we are buying for possibly these players moving in advance. We have had no official approach from Liverpool, Man United, or Arsenal for any of those 3 players I mentioned. So it's all paper talk at the moment. Like I say, it not saying that he won't go, but come and put the money on the table.
Yeah, I seen even the small links to us within Diddy, but I don't think we probably have the means to pay 90 million for him. I don't think just from a Man United perspective, I don't think at the moment we're talking about outgoings.
You've spent a lot of money though, haven't you? You got Sanchez
exactly,
and that. But
yeah,
like I say, we bought in Soyuncu a year before we sold Maguire because we knew Maguire. You'd been making inquiries about him. We knew he might go. Chilwell would let go because we knew we'd got Luke Thomas coming through. There's one thing we're reasonably good at, and that is the transfers. But like I say, there's no club that is in the Premier League now that has to sell because of the money that we generate. Plus on top of that, we've got owners that they're not Man City. They don't have oil coming out the back gardens, but they have got we pay 40 million for players. So if you want a player, yeah, you can probably get him, but you're going to get him on our terms.
Proper run football club.
Yeah.
I was just going to say...
That's the way it should be.
Loads of Newcastle lads would say if we could only aspire to be what Leicester is with regards to ownership and how it's run.
Yeah, but remember, we've been where you've been. We've had owners and we've had bad managers. It was 10 years ago. Our biggest game of that season 10 years ago was Leicester Man City, and that was in the 3rd tier of British football.
Yeah, exactly.
And that was following on the fact that we'd gone out of business twice.
Yeah.
So we've been there, and we are enjoying the ride at the moment. And I think what gets us, and again, I would say no disrespect to the Arsenal fan at all, but I think what gets us is that a lot of Arsenal fans seem to think that Maddison will walk barefoot over broken glass just because it's Arsenal. And not saying everyone, there's a lot of them out there. Oh, we're Arsenal. He's going to also going to want to come to us. If Brentford beat you on, the weekend, you won't. You're not even the biggest club in London. So if you go in, come on, put 70 million on the check on the table, but if you want him, you've got to get him on our terms. But like I say, enjoying the ride. Great window for us. Absolutely loving it. Shame about Fofana. But I think it will be Vestergaard or Cahill that we'll get. And of course, we were linked with Dan James.
Both them centre backs are both experienced. They're both experienced, and look, it would be a good stopgap until Fofana, Joe comes back. And so it'll be interesting to see kind of what Leicester do there, because obviously they have European football this year. They're gonna need an experienced centre back in besides Soyuncu when you're playing in the Europa League next year. William, speaking about centre backs, you've recently brought in Ben White. Recently brought in a midfielder, I think is Lakonga. Is that his name?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, and you brought in the left back as well, Tavares. Arsenal have been quite active in this transfer window. Now, obviously, obviously we're just speaking about Maddison. You're looking for a number 10. Obviously, you're looking at both Maddison and Odegaard. You're looking at a striker as well in Tammy Abraham, Joel Toro Martinez, strikers like that. So Arsenal look like they want to be productive to kind of get back into Europe next season. How would you assess your window? I know we've spoken about it before, but how would you assess it, and kind of where do you think kind of Joe is the most needed place you need to strengthen to kind of propel next season?
If it finished now, we'd still be screwed. To put it bluntly, we'd be massively screwed. We're not strong enough in attack. We don't score enough goals. Thankfully, even looking at preseason, we have created a few more, but it's still not what we need. We do need that creative midfielder. Echoing on the Leicester fans' comments on Maddison, is going to take an awful lot to get him. Like, I think he'd be happy to come to us. It's like, because we have the history and all that stuff. But I think he'd be happy to stay at Leicester. I don't think he's too pushed. Is that one? We're going to have to offer 60 million just to get into negotiations with Leicester. That's how the reports are going on the basis of what I'm seeing, is that 60 million will bring them to the table to start talking. So I've said it on here. I think that Maddison deal is the type of deal that we will end up doing on deadline day, but paying about 70 million. And I've said it, I have a feeling we will stump up the cash. But in order to do that, we have to start selling a few players just to generate the funds. Obviously, Newcastle have helped us out with selling Willock. Am I sad that we sold Willock? Yeah, I had a soft spot for him. I'm not going to lie. I think he was a very good player with some great quality. But was he necessarily going to get the most game time? Were we going to be able to get the best out of his game? No, I think he'll thrive more at Newcastle and become a way better player than he could have at us. In regards to what we've done so far, I'm delighted with Ben White. I think he'll prove to be a very good signing, even though he cost 50 million. I think he'll probably be our best centre back, and I do rate Gabriel, but I think give him time and people will start rating him properly. Tavares, look, we needed a backup left back because if Tierney got injured, we were utterly screwed with absolutely nobody there. And well, Lakonga, I'll discuss him slightly later. He is one of my ones to watch in this Arsenal side. I think he's going to break through into the team even ahead of Xhaka throughout the season, and you're going to see a proper baller. From everything that I can see, even just in pre-season, it's everything you want from that kind of deep line midfielder in terms of passing it forward, always looking on. He's looked proper good, and hopefully he can continue on into the Premier League, which is obviously a way bigger task. Look, I want that cam like Maddison. I definitely want a striker, a plan B. I'm not in this group of Arsenal fans that are turning their nose up at Tammy Abraham. If we got him, perfect. He's young. And yeah, I know most players that come from Chelsea and come to Arsenal have been utter tripe for us. But I just think he'd offer us something different. He'd be a little bit taller. He'd be a better version on Lacazette, who I think we need to try and get out, but I don't think anyone's buying him. And Oba just isn't scoring goals for us. And I just think he has a bit more experience than some of our younger lads. Now, maybe give Martinelli the chance up top, but again, I'm not against that.
His injury record probably doesn't warrant that chance at the moment, I'd say. That's why you're looking to invest.
Yeah, it's just that one. He always gets these little niggles, and it's always the same in game. You'll notice it. If we start Martinelli, he will get hit with a hard tackle, and he'll stay down for about 3 minutes, and it'll take him about 10 more minutes. And I think other teams have noticed that and say, put one in on him hard, and he won't be as good. Hopefully, he'll get a bit stronger as the years go on, but we'll see. We also need a right back, but I honestly don't think we're going to go and get one. I think that'll be a position that'll cost us. However, at the same time, from the business standpoint, I understand that we can't bring in so many players in one window, and that is probably the least of our worries, despite it being a position that will be a worry and will cost us. Because, frankly, we need the backup goalkeeper.
Is Cedric still at the club, though?
He is, but I think
Cedric's still at the club. He'd probably take Bellerin's place anyway.
I think Fenerbahce are looking at him and looking to try and bring him in and Kolasinac in. But Kolasinac we'd be releasing on a free from his contract, and then he'd be gone. Please do that.
He's someone need to get off the wage bill.
Literally, just let him go abroad. Let him meet his best friend Mesut Ozil again and run away from the Turks this time.
Yeah. Reese, I'm going to come to you because obviously I've come to Rach already about United's transfer business. We've talked about enough on this podcast in the last kind of 6 weeks, so I'm not going to come to you kind of on the incomings. I'm going to come to you more on the outgoings. Obviously, there's a couple of players who kind of, I suppose, fringe players United need to leave, but also some kind of young players I'm going to kind of touch on more actually who need to go out on loan. For you, you look at kind of we've a very big squad now at the moment. Who do you think needs to go out on loan? Obviously, the likes of James Garner and to Anthony Elanga have been touted for loan moves. Where do you think would be the right places for them?
They're the obvious ones, so I agree. Personally, I'd send Elanga to Brighton. I think he'd actually suit a lower league, a Premier League move. I think he would actually be all right for it because he's built himself up as a player physically. I think he could cope, especially under Graham Potter as an attacking manager. I think it would benefit him. Garner, ideally I would like him to stay in the Premier League, but I don't know if he's going to. I think a good pair between him and Gilmore at Norwich would work, but I don't think he's going to get the loan move in the Premier League. I think he's going to go to the Championship. I would exploit the relationship we've got with Nottingham Forest. I would send him back there in a heartbeat. I think that's a smart option. Alternatively, if give or take, you could send it to Derby County as well. They are lacking players. I say lacking, they've only got 9 senior players. He would walk in straight away and it would suit. It just depends really on what's the best deal for him.
The only thing like Shane mentioned on the Academy podcast, you touched on it there. Shane mentioned on the Academy podcast, the only thing I'd worry about sending players now to Derby is that club's in utter turmoil. Do we want to stunt our players' development going there? I think that's, for me, I'd be slightly concerned, even though I love Wayne Rooney, right? I absolutely love Wayne Rooney. Martin mightn't like him so much because of that goal against Newcastle, but I love Wayne Rooney. But at the same time, Derby County are just run
it's a position of hell right now. We could also look at Birmingham.
I would not send there and he's settled in.
Heath Chong's settled in.
Birmingham would be a good
Heath Chong's settled in Birmingham, yeah. I think that's an option. I'm trying to think who else realistically you could send out on loan. Obvious one, it's not everyone's going to assume it's agenda driven. It's not. It's pure simple fact of improving as a player. Dan James, I would send him out on loan personally. And I think he needs a loan move simply because we've got the players already in the position. I don't see Jesse Lingard going anywhere, at least until maybe January, because obviously Marcus Rashford recovering from injury. I don't see Martial going anywhere. So there's another. Jeez. So that's even worse. Neville versus Rooney. It's not going to end well. You've got.
Yeah.
In terms of like Jan James going on loan, I think is a smarter move in terms of who we've already got in the position. I don't see Martial going anywhere. There's people that think he's going to go Inter. I don't. I think he's got one last season. This is make or break.
The club quashed that today.
Yeah, I think it's make or break.
The club quashed that today. Anthony Martial staying this season.
That's good. Yeah, I saw that, but they want to use the big squad. I'm trying to think who else personally. You know who else I think should go on loan? Because I don't know what they're going to get in terms of minutes this year. Either one of Amad Diallo or Shola Shotier. One of those two.
It looks like Amad Diallo is more likely.
Yeah, I don't know who is more like. If either or, personally, I think get a good loan move for them, develop it further as a winger, come back and have a big say on the season. Because ideally, like the right side, it's going to be filled by Sancho predominantly, and then Greenwood can fill in there, no problem. Yeah, so you've got that. Cavani's going to be up top. Martial could rotate with him. Greenwood can rotate with him. Left wing is going to be like you've got Rashford, Lingard, Martial. There's 3 players there pretty much in the same position. It's important. Other than that, I don't think there's much else in terms of who to look at. Defenders, most likely Brandon Williams. I don't know if he's went out yet. If he hasn't went out, send him out on loan now. Because I think he needs experience because he's going to get Dallo's staying. Is he going to get minutes? I don't think he will. I would also say that
Dallo's staying as the backup right back.
Yeah, I would go outside. Shout. I would say if he goes out on loan again, Nathan Bishop, the academy goalkeeper, because I'd like him to step up soon.
He's gone already.
Is he gone now? Where's he gone?
He's gone already. Yeah. He's gone to like a non-league club.
Oh, great! So
he went to non-league.
They've given him the Wolfish treatment. Tell you one thing, that move to Stockport pissed me off.
Positivity.
I want to do well, but
positivity.
Of course, it's positive, but I'm just annoyed that they sent Wolfish down to the non-league. I wanted him to play in like, at least League 1, League 2. At least that's something. But
can I ask about a couple of Man United players?
Shoot. Of course. Go on, Chris.
Yeah, because we've been linked, and I don't think we can afford him now because we need to buy a centre-back. But we've been linked with Dan James, and that was quite a strong link. Would you A, sell him, or B, let him go out on loan to a team that's going to be challenging you for a top 4 position? And also today it's come out, and I think this is a bit pie in the sky, Jesse Lingard, if Maddison does go to Arsenal, that we'll go for Jesse Lingard as a replacement.
I think personally either or would actually suit you as well. If it were up to me, I would sell Dan James. But I actually think loaning him's a wiser move because he's still only 22 years old. Yeah. So frankly, loaning him to you guys, even for like a year or two, gives him a chance to improve under like Brendan Rodgers. You could get the best out of him as a left winger, allow him to improve on his deficiencies in terms of like end product, when to pass, when to shoot as well. He can develop him as a player, which is good. I think Jesse Lingard would be a smart move for you guys personally. I think it would, like, because it's a ready-made position. It's like it's not the same type of player as James Maddison. James Maddison's a more creative player than Jesse Lingard, but Jesse Lingard will bring at least an attacking dimension to your team, a different type of dimension that will improve you. So I think both, yes.
Okay, no, I just think Jesse Lingard, what didn't do too well for you? You obviously let him go.
What was that, Keane?
I don't mind see Jesse Lingard or Dan James leaving. Like, I think in a way that they're both not guaranteed first team minutes, and look, I think both of them need first team minutes. So I think if either one of them were to go to Leicester, I'd wish him well. I think especially Lingard, I think a lot of Manchester United fans really, forget the amount of big games he's after scoring and for us in. You look at the FA Cup final, Community Shield, you look at the League Cup final, you look at Chelsea at home, Everton away, all the Arsenal games he scored in. He scored in all the big games for us. He scored at Anfield away. He's delivered in big moments in big games. So and seeing what he done with West Ham last year, he rejuvenated his career. He could definitely do that under Rodgers, at Leicester, as well. So look, I'd be happy for him if he did go elsewhere. But I'm conscious about time, guys, so I'm going to move on to our predictions for the season and for all different categories. And so we're going to go to the top 6 first. And now, last year on the prediction show, top 6 we more or less got them right for the most part. in the top 6 predictions last year. So we'll see where we're going to go with top 6 predictions this year. Be very interesting because a lot of clubs have done business this season and the transfer window. So it'll be interesting to see kind of where everyone's order is at. Martin, I'm going to come to you first. Your top 6. Give me your top 6 from 6th place to the champions.
Okay. I went with a slight rank outside it because it'll kind of come to one of my other points. But I've actually put Aston Villa into a top 6 spot because I think they're going to do well. 5th place, I've gone with Liverpool. 4th, I've gone with Chelsea, even though they're going to bring in Lukaku. 3rd, I've gone with your mob, Keane. 2nd, Chris, I have to say, I'm being very impressed with Leicester. I've gone Leicester for 2nd spot. And unfortunately, I've gone with City for 1st because I think they're just a juggernaut. There you go.
I should have kept you for last.
Listen, you know one thing. I'm going to tell it as it is, lad. Do you know what it is? I think there's a couple of questions with City. One is, I think United will have a good season, right? You'll be there or thereabouts. Some great signings. I think Sancho there. You know, if you can get your goals scored, I think they'll do well. But I just think I really like Brendan Rodgers as a manager. I think Leicester will do well. I think some of the signings have been awesome. I think, you know, they're probably due another good run. But I think with City, the addition of Grealish, you know, the likes of Foden and stuff, I just struggle to see who is really there to stop City at the moment. And I think it's between, you know, 2 or 3, but I just can't. I think Grealish is a fantastic addition. If he gets the game time, and that's my only question with the addition of Grealish, is will he get the game time? But he'll certainly get the assists and some goals. But yeah, sorry lads, I went with Man City and Leicester top 2. I do apologise. And just for Will,
look, those Newcastle fans.
I did put Arsenal in 7th, and for those asking, I put Newcastle at 17th. We'll stay up just.
We finish ahead of Tottenham. Yeah,
it was a toss up.
We celebrate finishing above Tottenham trophy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, that's my top.
I was actually going to ask then. So you think? I was just going to ask you because you didn't include Newcastle. So you think you're just going to avoid it? You think you're just going to avoid relegation in 17?
I think we've got 2 teams. I think we've got the players with the addition of Willock. If we can get a defender, we've got the quality in players to be a good mid. And I hate to say this, but a good fucking mid-table side. We've got good players. We just don't set up right. So for me, we'll either go okay and we'll finish a 12th, 13th maybe, or we'll get a shit run right at the start or in the middle, and we'll be teetering around relegation, the bottom 6 again. So, you know, it's either one of those 2 teams for us that turn up. So, yeah. Worst case scenario.
Either way, I don't think we'll
go down. I don't think we'll go down. I think we've got better quality. I think there's other teams worse than us. But it depends on that run. But I think
definitely. I don't think they go down. You're not.
Yeah, no, we've got the players, but they need to perform. We need players with the likes of Ryan Fraser. Ryan Fraser needs to have a big season this season. He had a really bad attitude last season. He's looked good in pre-season. He's got a handful of assists. Wilson scoring. I think if we can keep those fit and we can drop the attitudes and we can get Ryan Fraser playing like he can do, I'm hoping this is going to be a real good season for him. He could be the difference in our team this season with Willock, I think.
Yeah, and a creative outlet which can definitely help you, and especially in the games where you're playing against like Brentford, Norwich's, Watford's, it gives you that little edge in them type of games.
We've got a bit to mix up. And I think the crazy thing for me there is that there's a link. There's a link there between Fraser and Wilson. Why are you not playing them?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't get it.
Exactly. Yeah, the Bournemouth link.
Playing the 2 of them together. Exactly. But anyway, yeah. Go on, Rich. Sorry.
Rich, you're known as the positive Man United fan. You're always ultra positive. I'm going to give you 6 to 1st as well, in that order. Okay. Let us know what your top 6 is this season.
For the guys that don't know me, I am very, very positive. I like to look at the best outcome in life rather than drawing the negatives. Some people like to call me delusional. Some people get my positivity, but it's just how I like to look at life. So in 6th, I've got Arsenal. So I think I'm in the minority here. I actually think they will have a decent season. I think their form at the end of last season really started to pick up. And when you've got players like Smith Rowe and you've got Saka and the new boys as well, and Ben White, I mean, they've got a genuinely good team. There are obviously areas that still need to be urgently addressed, but I genuinely think they will have a better season than last season, at least. 5th, I've gone Liverpool because they're aging. They're ready for the retirement home. I hate them. Do one. I'm going to move on. 4th, Leicester. I do think you will get the top 4 this season. The last 2 seasons, I think you've been unfortunate with whether it be injuries, COVID, or the run that you went on. I think it was just really unfortunate. I like Leicester as a football club. I think I like how they're run. I like what they stand for, and they're one of the top. I would class them as a top 6 side that I don't hate. Moving on to 3rd, to a team that I absolutely despise, City. I hope they drop this season after their world record signing. I love Jack Grealish. I thought he would have been amazing at United. Maybe I'm bitter, but I hope he doesn't get the game time. Just maybe. I hope he doesn't get the game time. I hope he realises he's made the most stupidest mistake of his life, leaving a club like Villa, his boyhood club. Then I'm going to go 2nd, Chelsea, and United top, just because I'm optimistic, positive, and I hate Chelsea. So that's me done.
I love Chris.
I'm done.
Chris, I'm interested to hear your top 4 because we actually spoke earlier on a couple of months ago on your channel in terms of predictions for the start of the season.
Yeah.
So again, top 4, top 6. Give me your order from 6th to top spot.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to upset most here. Number 6, I was tempted with Villa. I'm going to be honest with you, but I know they're making some good signings with the money that they've got. Ings was an amazing steal, but they're just not the same team without Jack Grealish. And I have a sneaky feeling for Leeds. They had a good season last year. Sorry, Rach, you obviously don't like Leeds either.
I don't like anyone, to be fair.
Oh, well, obviously, I'm honoured that you actually like Leicester.
Yeah, well, I've got family in Coventry, so it's kind of...
Oh, don't mention Coventry. What?
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's like saying I've got family that support Man City. No.
I'm sorry.
That was going so well.
It all started to go wrong after about 57 minutes. No, so I just think Bielsa's a good manager, and if they can hold on to the players, and Phillips has another good season, I can see them. I'd like to see them do well. 5th, it hurts me to say this, but I've got Leicester again, and I think we've made some good signings, but the other, the rest of the top 4 have just made bigger ones, if you like. So I've got Leicester as just finishing 5th, which won't be a disappointment, won't be bottling it, because it gives us 5th and it gives us European football, and we're going to win the Europa League this season anyway, so we'll be in the Champions League next season. 4th, I've got
I love the optimism.
Now that's optimism.
I love it.
There we go. As long as it doesn't come down to penalties against Villarreal in the final.
Oh!
By the way, did you see the other week?
You took the knife in my heart, Chris.
We beat them. We beat them 3-2. I hope you're watching it to learn a few things.
All right, that's it. We'll give you Dan James and we'll take Ndidi for 20 pence.
In 4th, I've got Liverpool, because I think out the top 4, they are the ones that will struggle, like Rach said. But they've proved last season. I mean, they were completely out of it with like 4 or 5 games to go, and they just went on a great run and sneaked it on the last day. So I think Liverpool, with the experience, would just do it. Now, the top 3, in fairness, could go any way. However, if you had a different manager, I think you would be higher than this. But I'm putting Man United third because I like Ollie, and I think he came in and he's done brilliantly for you. I mean, he reinvigorated that team when he came in. You probably gave him a contract too soon, but he's got you there. But is what he doing enough for Man United fans? And how long will they put up with him not winning something? I mean, people are saying, "Oh, Leicester have missed out again." Man United, they're the semi-finalists. Then when they get through to a final, they lose it. So, had you got a different manager with the signings that you've made, which are great signings, I think you'd have been high. But I've got you as third. I originally went for Chelsea at top and Man City second earlier in the season, I think, when we were talking, Keane. But obviously that was before, they've spent 100 million and 94 million respectively. I'm going to go Man City second because we have seen they can bottle things. Look at the Champions League. And I just think Chelsea, if they get Lukaku, I think Tuchel's a good manager, and I think if he'd been there all season last season, I think they would have run Man City a lot closer, to be honest with you. So I'm going Chelsea top, Man City second, United third, Liverpool fourth, Leicester fifth, and Leeds sixth.
Leeds sneaking into that top six would be a fucking nightmare for me. It would be an absolute nightmare. I don't like Leeds. I
maybe just said it just to annoy the Man United fans here. I don't know. Who knows? But no, I think I like Bielsa, and I just think, I think they had a good
I like him too, but I just
season.
hate Leeds.
Yeah, well, yes. And again, they might have a Sheffield United and go right back down to the bottom again. Who knows?
Oh, that would be beautiful. That would be sensational. William, I kind of got your top six on the Talk of the League podcast there last week. You're with Greg. You kind of gave slight predictions. Give us your top six predictions from sixth to first.
Yeah, to be honest, I think sixth, fifth, and fourth will all be close enough. And obviously, there's bias in there. They'll be close enough, but I think we'll get sixth and finish about 4 points behind fifth place, which I have Leicester just. And I think they'll finish only about 1 or 2 points behind Liverpool in fourth. I honestly think it'll be run close, but I just think Liverpool will have the experience just to get them over the line a bit more. Now, if all of Leicester's new signings settle in perfectly and keep banging, if Iheanacho can keep on scoring goals, there's no reason why Leicester can't finish in the top four. And luckily this year you don't have a difficult fixture to finish the season, being it's Southampton at home or away, I think, on the final day, rather than say Tottenham
Another
last
9-0.
year
Don't mention Tottenham.
and United the year before. Like, you've had difficult games on the final day where it was a bit tough to get through. However, you do have Tottenham fourth game from last, and can you please beat them this time? Because 2 times in a row, if you'd just beaten them, we would have gotten European football.
Can I just say? I hope he goes to Man City. We might stand. Keane goes to Man City because we might stand a chance of beating them then.
Oh, if Keane goes to Man City, Tottenham are dead and may not even finish top half. Yeah. Let's be brutally honest. Well, if they get Lautaro Martinez to replace him, that's not a bad sign. But anyway, top four. So that now if Liverpool, then I had Man United third. I think Ollie's done a great job so far, but I think this is where his tactical ability, when you consider against managers like Tuchel and Pep Guardiola, is going to be just slightly lacking against the elite managers.
The managers he's beaten, though. I'll interject there for a second, though. The managers he's beaten in them individual games. Look at his records.
You say that.
Yeah, but in the big games, you talk about tactical against the teams.
Yeah. But winning the Premier League is being about being the best tactical managers at beating every single team in the league, not just the big team.
You can no disrespect. You mentioned the best tactical. Was Claudio Ranieri the best tactical manager? Was Claudio Ranieri the best tactical manager?
He was the best tactical manager in the Premier League for that season because they finished top. Now, if Ollie goes up and beats them all, then yeah, I will eat my words and say, well done. You were the best tactical manager this year. You've done it. You've done a good job. You've done a brilliant job. But let's be honest, he should be winning a trophy this season. You 100% should be. I just don't think it happens. When it comes to that crunch moment, there just hasn't been that killer instinct yet. And I think that just comes from the top. That's my own personal opinion.
Win a trophy this season. I can't wait. Because there's so many. Genuinely, I cannot wait, William.
You should have won a trophy last season. You should have annihilated that Europa League. You should have annihilated Villarreal in that final. But what happens is they played a tactical mind game to go in and hit ye early and take ye out of your own game, and you never got into the game fully and took you to penalties where they managed to win because a goalkeeper missed it. Like, I don't know. I just can't see it from Ollie actually managing to do it. And I think he's brought you to the perfect place that once you get the next manager, that you could be on top of England again for many years because you are that close with that squad.
Be interesting.
And then second, I've got Chelsea, and first, I've got City. I just think that Pep's manager always just get this run of games that you never notice. You're just like, oh, it's City, but they managed to win about 15 in a row or 10 in a row. That's what it takes to win the league. It's just winning games, no matter how you're winning it ugly, and just getting the confidence into the side and more minutes into each their legs.
Be interesting to see it. I think the top three will be. I think if you look at top 3 points difference wise, it's probably going to be about roughly 9 points, I'd say, between third and first this year, roughly, and that's going to go down to probably about latter stages of April and May, because I think the way all their business is quite similar this year, and I think if you look at all the situations, just depends if Lukaku hits the ground running, because let's face him, did he hit the ground running at Man United? No. He went to Serie A and scored a few goals, but with no disrespect to that league recently. I know you love Italy, but Premier League is different level. So it'd be interesting to see where if Lukaku hits the ground running, Chelsea will be a threat this season. Reese, to come to you quickly, because I want to kind of get through the top 6 here before I give them away one quickly. Give me 6 to first.
Leeds, sadly, mate, I think they're going to sneak in there, mate, as much as I hate the pricks. Leeds are going to finish 6th. Then it's going to be Leicester. Then it's going to be Chelsea. Lukaku's only going to score 20 in the league. They're not going to do anything else. Liverpool are going to sadly finish 3rd. Hopefully they lose Van Dijk. We're going to finish 2nd by 3 points, and then the Clowns are going to win the league, sadly.
I can't wait for electric cars.
But don't worry, there is a good thing though. There's a good bit to my madness. There's a good bit to my madness of us finishing 2nd, because we're going to get the Champions League. We're going to win the FA Cup, and we're going to get the League Cup. You can kiss my ass, because this is the night 1 Rotterdam shirt. So there you go. Sizzle.
Jesus.
Well, that's a bold prediction. I'll just give my top 6 quickly from 6th. Providing Harry Kane stays at Spurs, and let's say they do get Martinez in alongside him, have him 6th. If not, Villa's there. I have Liverpool 5th. I think that team's run its course. And if the fact they haven't replaced Wijnaldum, I think that's a massive loss, because he was a big game player for them in the last 2 seasons. I think that's a massive loss. Leicester are 4th. I think, again, the fixture list, again, at the back end of the season is less what it was the last 2 seasons. I think their signings have been smart this year. They've given themselves a bit of squad depth, which they didn't have in the 2 previous seasons when they did have injuries, over problems. That they didn't have the depth to do it, but now they do. So it'd be interesting to see if these players, as William said, these players can settle in and have. I said this about United. You can have depth, but you need strength in depth, and it looks like Leicester have addressed that. I have Chelsea 3rd. That's me more hoping off the basis that Lukaku doesn't fire, and Thomas Tuchel gets kind of that second season syndrome, which Chelsea managers do get after win the Champions League. We've seen that at Di Matteo. Optimistically of Manchester City in 2nd. even though I think the Bastards probably will win the league, but I cannot do a prediction that I have United first, especially in the business this year. If we get it, like if we get that defensive midfielder, I'm confident that title challenge can be mounted this year, Ollie or no Ollie, to be brutally honest about it. But if he doesn't amount to it, then questions will be asked, and I think rightly so, because he needs to win something this year. And I think anyone who is a United fan, or you see people who have their own individual agendas, you have to look and say he has to win something this year, and he has to get at least a run at the title, and that I think that's reasonable. Going to go straight to the relegation zone. I'm going to give my ones straight off the bat. I have Palace 18th. I think Patrick Vieira coming in, and Palace are after having a mass exodus of players there. I think inexperienced manager could really affect them. I have Watford in 19th, and I have Norwich again as always. Rach, what's your relegation zone?
I didn't really decide on positions because I'm not too sure, but the three I've gone with are Watford, Norwich, and Southampton.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying Southampton. Their predictions. I've read a lot this week, and Palace, and Watford, and Southampton. All these teams are kind of popping up in conversation. Martin, what is your bottom three?
Yeah, I went similar to you, mate. I went Palace, Watford, and Norwich in that order.
Yeah, I said this in June. I said that's my bottom three since June, and I haven't budged on it. I think they're the three teams that we're going to go down.
I did teeter around with Palace, and I did put Burnley in there for a while. I think Dyche is wily enough, but I'd just love to see them go down, just because I think they fucking deserve to go down. So, just purely from a point of, I'd love to see Sean Dyche's
especially for the owners.
Like
Just spoiler alert for mine.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, Palace, Watford, and Norwich. I think Brentford will stay up. So, yeah.
I do as well.
Chris, what is your bottom three?
I think we're all agreeing on two of them. In 20th, I've got Watford, because they'll probably have about three managers by the time they get to the end of the season, and it will just go tits up for them. 19th, I've got Norwich. 18th, I was torn between these. At one point, I was thinking Palace, but unfortunately, and I'm going to get a lot of hate here, I'm afraid, but I think it might be Newcastle.
Brutal.
Sorry, but I just think
you just see the heartbreak.
If you've still got Steve Bruce at the end of the season, I hope you don't, for your sake, and I feel sorry for you and your fans and what you have to put up with. Arsenal have had it for one season, you've had it for about 19, but if you've got Steve Bruce come the end of the season, I think you'll be down. I'm sorry.
Leicester fans.
There was me. I said Leicester will be second in the league. Can I fucking change that now? Can I change that?
That's why I have to justify it.
You can go on second if you want there, yeah.
Yeah,
you just changed that now,
I'll move everybody up and move Leicester down to sixth.
That's Leicester. They truly are a shithouse, aren't they?
Yeah, don't trust us. Nobody likes us. We don't care.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Sorry, mate. I have to be
no,
honest.
listen. We flirted with it last season. We've got our players have to turn up. I don't disagree. It's like I said to you. It'll be either team that turns up, and if the right Newcastle and players turn up, we'll be okay. If they don't, and we go shit or bust, then I think you could be right, Chris. Yeah.
And there's none of that, there's no hatred for the way that you beat us at the, about 2 games to go last season, and you guys predicted 5-0 to Newcastle. I think it was 4-2, 5-0 to Leicester, and it was 4-2 to Newcastle.
Yeah, exactly. No, it was a good game. It's always a handy 3. It's always a handy 3 points down there off you anyway. So,
lads, I'm going to have to get off. Unfortunately, I can't stay on much longer. But it's been really great talking to you. Just a player to watch for me: Saka or Sancho. Golden Boot: Kane. Sacked. Hasenhüttl, but if Arsenal fuck it up, Arteta. And dark horses: Villa.
Yep.
Thanks,
And on that note, go and have a brew.
Nice to meet you.
You too, guys. Have a good stream. Sorry, Kino. Bye.
Bye.
Later.
No worries, see you, Ray. William, give us your relegation zone.
So I've got 20th and 18th are probably two of the ones that you've said as well. Which order, I'm not sure. Originally, I had Watford 20th and Norwich 18th. And then the team I have in 19th is, I'm going to go for it, Burnley. I'm actually going to go for it and say that finally the hard-nosed team is just going to get a bit softer in defense. And to be honest, they never seem to be signing anyone, and they didn't really sign anyone last season. And it's just slowly getting worse and slowly getting worse. And I just think it's one step too far for Sean Dyche, and that they're finally going to go down. And then I'd say about 17th, Crystal Palace, and yeah, they'd be about there. 16th, Brentford, Newcastle 15th, and Brighton 14th.
Okay, you gave me bottom six. Okay.
To be fair, on Friday on my Twitter, I'll have a full 1 to 20 of the Premier League, my prediction, and we'll see how I do at the end of the season.
And then if he gets it right, guys, expect a tweet saying called it. That's all I'll say. Reese, did you give me your bottom three? No,
I haven't.
Yeah, fire away.
So the strippers are going to finish bottom, which is Norwich, because they go up and down like a pole. They're used to flip and flop between the leagues. So Norwich to finish bottom. Watford to finish 18th. Personally, I don't think they're going to stay in the league. I don't see any depth in their squad that actually justifies them staying in the league. And then I'm actually going to put a shock name in 18th. I'm actually going to stick Brighton in there.
Yeah,
I would also love to see them.
The Premier League hipsters are going down for one simple reason: they do not have a number 9 that actually gets them enough goals to stay up. I don't see them.
Yeah.
I just get the feeling they're going to sign Eddie Nketiah, and that's why I'm keeping them a little bit higher, because he will grab a few goals for him.
I don't see anything from them that justifies anything about them is actually good enough. But Graham Potter actually has them playing good football. It's just they don't score enough goals to justify it. Yeah. I think Newcastle are going to scrap it. I think they're going to finish 17th. I think it'll be that tight for Newcastle, in all fairness.
No, I agree, mate. I agree.
You need to keep certain players fit. Say Maximan, I think is your best player by a country mile. You've got to keep him fit. You need to keep Callum Wilson fit. Joe Linton, you can afford to lose him. He isn't that good. I think the Longstaff brothers, they just need a short stick to go beside them, like a player and I'm not actually taking the piss out of their name. I'm just saying a short stick as in a midfielder just sits in front of them. They can just dictate the play because they're good box to box players. To be honest, I think if you play them as box to box, they'll do enough.
Martin, do you want Perez back? By the way,
you know who I think is going to struggle. Like, I'm feeling
the most. No.
I think in terms of like the 17th position, I think it's going to rotate throughout the season between Palace and Newcastle. I think they're going to flip because Vieira, with all respect to him, like, you got top 4 in France. That's great. Fair enough. He didn't do well in MLS, but he's currently at a job where they let go more than 10 first-team players. I don't think he's going to get backed, particularly by Steve Parish as well, which is going to make it more difficult. I think, and I hope, honest to God, I hope he doesn't get sacked by the end of Christmas, but there is a chance that could actually happen, and they bring in like a Sam Allardyce because it's typical of what they do. But in all fairness, I'm gonna stick by at the bottom 3. Norwich to go straight back down, Watford to go straight back down, and see you later, Brighton.
Cool.
Brighton made bottom 3 for the lads. Interesting. One to watch. Last season, I just want to shout out Sean. He threw in Dominic Calvert-Lewin for the one to watch last season. That was an amazing shout for the one last year. I didn't get his one to watch. I'll ask him in the group chat after this show. William, who was your one to watch last year?
James Ward-Prowse was mine last year. So it wasn't a bad show. He had a decent season, but I thought he'd make the Euro squad. And then he didn't, so my shout went wrong.
Yeah, nearly got there though. So interesting. I think my one to watch last season was Rodrigo from Leeds when they bought him, so I got it completely wrong. he wasn't great. So hopefully I get better with my one to watch this season. But I'm going to start from the bottom, then we're going to go to the top. So Reese, you're on the bottom right hand side. Give us your one player to watch this season.
I'm going to stick with the same player I had. I'm stuck between two, but the player I mentioned last year was elsewhere. Obviously, I wasn't watching you guys at the time. I didn't see the prediction show. I'm going to stick with Rafinha. I think even though he plays for Leeds, I still think he's a quality right winger. We've spoken before when we discussed the three right wingers if Man United didn't get Sancho. He was top of my list for a reason. I just think because he's used to the league, he's intense, he's quick. That left foot of his is good enough for any team, and I think he just has the discipline to handle a top club because Leeds aren't. But another player I'm going to go with as for this season overall is Ivan Toney. I just think the way he's coming into the league as well, he's got such a skill set that I think a lot of the bigger clubs actually would enjoy. And I think he's not going to score the 30 goals he got last year, but I reckon he could get about 15 to 20 in his first season. I think a lot of defenders are going to struggle with him unless you get physically stuck into him. But he's a player I like, and an outside shot as well. Just an outside mention who I think could actually have a decent season. Leon Bailey for Villa. If he gets firing, I think he's going to be good for them.
Oh, you bastard!
Yeah,
you bastard!
Stick it right up. Stick it up, you mate.
You absolute criminal.
But my undisputed one to watch though is Ivan Toney. Just for the way he led the championship the past couple of years, and the fact that Brentford got promoted means they will not lose him at least for another year is great for them. So yep, for me, 100% Ivan Toney, one to watch.
I should have came to you fucking last. I should have went first. Leon Bailey was my one to watch.
Watch this, lads. London Lowdown scrap for this season.
back. You're sacked.
He hates me that much now.
Well, do you know what? I'm going to give much now so I can make sure that none of the lads had my alternative. So I'm going to go next. I did have Leon Bailey. He's a great player coming from Leverkusen. Great winger. He was on my list of wingers for Man United to sign if we didn't get Sancho. So great coup by Villa. My one to watch is actually a young United player, Mason Greenwood. I think, look, with Cavani missing the start of the season, I think Greenwood has a massive opportunity to cement his place as Manchester United's number 9. He's had a good pre-season, and he's definitely a player who I think can definitely make more strides this year, especially the fact that all he wants to utilise the squad. And he has all the talent in the world, and I think he's someone who can definitely kick up another gear this year. And I think the fact Jadon Sancho has come to the club, people might say it hinders him. I don't think it does. I think a player like Sancho linking up with Greenwood can only better him. So I'm going to go Mason Greenwood as my one to watch. I said I get my one to watch in there because Reese, again, I'll just reiterate, is an absolute fucking criminal. He's an absolute criminal.
Get me in the jail cell, a 90s player.
Martin, who's your one to watch? Your one to watch for this season?
It's nobody from Newcastle anyway. I was kind of torn between a couple. I totally agree with Reese's Ivan Toney, obviously ex-Newcastle player. We stupidly let him go. Amazing for Brentford. I think they play really well. I think he's going to be an absolute handful this season. And I'm really interested to see how well he does. But my one to watch based on what I've seen so far, and I'm hoping he does really well. But I've actually, I'm going to keep an eye on Daka of Leicester because I think he could be a star to shine. So he is my one to watch this season, Patson Daka. I'm looking forward to seeing him play.
Oh, well, I'm loving Newcastle fans today.
And that's twice I picked you up, but the first time you get a shot, Chris, you shafted me.
Can I pick my 3 to go down? Can I redo it?
But I think, I think they're two good players between Toney and Daka. I think it could be a great season, but I think just the Charity Shield game, I thought the time that Daka was on, I thought he was really, really cool. So looking forward to watching him.
Yeah, Daka is a great show. Great show. I liked him. I didn't see him play before, but I seen him play against City in the Community Shield. My God, I was impressed, really impressed. He's very direct. He's
quick.
He
doesn't give defenders a rest at all. So I think he could just be one of those. I didn't even, to be fair, I knew nothing about him until Leicester had signed him, did a little bit of research on him. But I tell you what, he looks some player. If he turns out to be what he looks like, then I think Leicester have a player on the hands. So yeah, looking forward to seeing.
I'm going to download this show.
don't play it back to me next. Don't play it back to the end of the season, Chris. If he's an absolute fucking flop.
Whenever I feel down, I'm having a bad moment. I'm going to play this show, and it's going to cheer me up.
Cheer you up. Yeah. William, give us your one to watch for the season.
Right. So again, I have a few in mind, and look, I'm not going to go through them, all of them, but I think in our team, like, you're going to see Lokonga will be a great shout for us. And also Emile Smith-Rowe will finally get more credit than he deserves off of other fans. But they're not really my ones to watch. This one also, a shout out to Evan Fahy, because we have to get this in once a show. Billy Gilmore, I think at Norwich, will have a great season, and he'll definitely be one to watch once he gets more game time. But my proper one to watch comes from also a team that I think is very not spoken about enough for this season, is going kind of under the radar, especially with they've got a new manager in, Podence. I think he's going to properly kick on this season once he comes back and show that he is quality player that can play for any top 4 side. I think he will be that good, and he'll drive him on, especially in a more attack-minded team. I have a feeling he's really going to kick on this season.
I hope Wolves do become an attacking team, because I hate Wolves away. Any Man United fan will tell you, Wolves away is the most boring game we play all fucking season. They park the bus in every game that we play against them. Luckily, we played our youngsters, away from home from last season. We beat them. So hopefully, thank Christ, Nuno is gone from there. Thank Christ. But Tottenham don't have the defenders at the moment. Well, apart from Romero, he's a good defender. But at the moment, doesn't have the defenders to play park the bus football? Probably not at the moment. He's probably going to have to hope that Harry Kane bails him out. But we'll talk about Harry Kane later on when it comes to Golden Boot shouts. Chris, who would be your one to watch?
No surprise that one of them was going to be Ivan Toney. And had Brentford not, we needed a striker, which is why we're going to sign Daka. Had Brentford not got promoted, I would have been shouting to go and get him. But yeah, I think he could. He definitely is one to watch. However, Daka's a good shout. I agree, but I'm gonna have to go, and it is a Leicester player. I'm sorry, bit of nepotism here, but Kieran Dewsbury Hall. He's a young midfielder. Was
that the guy who came on the weekend?
Sorry? He came on at the weekend.
Was that the weekend?
Yeah. He has played, and our pre-season, apart from Villarreal and apart from Man City, the other three sort of we played, it was sort of different, changed all the players at half time. But he went out to Luton Town last season, and I think he won the player of the season and the young player of the season. He's already scored for us. The guy, he's going to be the new Harvey Barnes. He's the next one that's going to come through for Leicester. We've got a good youth system there. I'm not saying this just because his mother follows me on Facebook, but he is really.
That's a whole different story.
That is a whole different story. Yes. But, I'm not doing a paternity test, but no, he is one to look out for. His game time might be a bit limited because of obviously who we've got in the midfield there, but we win four competitions. We've got the Premier, the 2 Cups, and the Europa. He will get game time, and and I'm picking him over the likes of Luke Thomas, who's got 2 medals already, scored in Europe, scored against Man United. That's how good he is. And I'll give it 2, maybe 3 years, and Man United will come in knocking offering us 80 million for him.
We'll see. It depends. It depends. We'll see. We do have good young players coming up ourselves. Hopefully, we don't have to come and knock him. Hopefully not. Reese, I'm just going to say to you again, I know we've just completed our ones to watch here. I'm just going to say to you again, just to wrap up this topic, you're an absolute prick.
I love you too, mate. I love you too.
Anyway.
Feel the love.
You stole my thunder.
That's why you made me the host of London Lowdown, mate. Because I'm used to stealing thunder off them.
Yeah. Golden Boot. Obviously, look, it's a big conversation in terms of every season. Obviously, Lukaku's in the Premier League, back in the Premier League. Harry Kane, can we move into City? Obviously, there's all good strikers. Vardy's always thereabouts when it comes to the Golden Boot. Mo Salah is a Golden Boot merchant as well. Like Mo Salah's always there regardless of form in terms of performances in games. So loads of good players in the league who can definitely compete for it. Martin, I'll come to you. Who's your Golden Boot winner this season?
Purely because I think he'll get chances with the way that Tuchel will set them up and Chelsea will play. I've gone with Lukaku. And the only reason I've gone with him above Harry Kane is I think Harry Kane's injuries are starting to mount up and I think his legs are going. I think he'll still get you 20, but I just think Lukaku will probably be 22, 23. Salah will get you goals, but I just think Lukaku is geared up to hit. I take Reese's point. If Lukaku hits the ground running, Chelsea could be on fire. So I've stick him in there. Kane a close second, but Lukaku for me this season.
So Lukaku is going to hit the ground running and gets the Golden Boot. William, do you share the same opinion as Martin? Do you think Lukaku's Golden Boot?
To be honest, I can't really add much more. Yeah, to be honest, I'd say Lukaku is going to be my pick for the Golden Boot. I think he will hit 20-odd goals. I still don't think he'll be necessarily the greatest striker. I just think he's going to be a great goal scorer. And he's just going to find the back of the net and put it in plenty of times, 20-plus times, which is what you want your strikers to do and all the rest of them to feed him. And I think Kane will just about miss out, and I think Salah will just miss out despite probably scoring about 7 penalties, or 10 maybe even.
Fair enough. Chris, do you have any different opinions from William and Martin?
Yeah, I think this could be the season when Timo Werner comes good. I'm joking. I'm taking the piss there. No, it's going to be Harry Kane for me. I think he's got a lot to prove. If he stays at Tottenham, we know he can do it at Tottenham, and he's going to want to be playing for a move, and he's going to sort of have a point to prove to Daniel Levy. And if he goes to Man City, I just think the quality of players that are at that club. He could just be scoring, off his arse. If
that will be my only caveat, like you said there, Chris. If City do get hold of Kane scores a shitload of goals if he goes to City. He'll go from being 20, 22, 23 to 30 a season if he goes to City with the chances they create.
Yeah. And I'm sorry to any Werner fans there, but I was joking.
He could actually do.
Reece,
I don't think he'd be a golden boot. But Werner could actually have a really good season with the pressure taken off him with Lukaku coming in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a good point. I'm afraid, and I'm afraid Jamie won't be anywhere near it this season.
Do what though? I think Werner playing off Lukaku could definitely be good. I think he can definitely play off him and
just behind him. Exactly. Yeah. Could be a good partnership.
Reece, we've got 2 Lukaku shouts, a Harry Kane shout. Do you have anything different?
Not one of them. No. Not going to be Kane. I'm actually going to go with Cavani.
Oh well.
I think Cavani's going to end up with the Golden Boot. And it's not biased because it's Man United or what. Fuck not. I'm actually going for the sake of the creativity in that team. I think it's much better than what it was. I actually think there is a chance that he actually could end up with the Golden Boot. So I'm not putting it past it. I wouldn't be surprised if the diving king of Scumfield finishes top goal scorer as well. Salah wouldn't be surprised really, but mind you, they've improved the VAR lines, so they might chalk at least 10 of his goals off. So that'd be actually a good thing. But I'm actually going to stick with Cavani. I actually think he's got a decent chance of being top goal scorer. I think Vardy's going to have a better season, but he's not going to be the Golden Boot winner. But he's going to have a better goal scoring season, so that's one for Chris at least.
What did Cavani finish with last season, mate?
12, I think.
12.
The exact same amount as the Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang.
One was a free transfer. Cavani, the 34-year-old free transfer, didn't play in 8 months.
Yeah.
But anyway.
And that's the only reason why I say Cavani won't as well. He won't pick up as many games. He's a bit older. He'll play one of the 2 games, either midweek or Premier League. That's the
thing with Cavani is a striker. Form is temporary, class is permanent.
Yeah.
He just has that knack of being in the right place, right time, making the run, dink little headers. He'll score goals. I'm not 100% convinced he'll be Golden Boot, but I think he get you a good 15, 16 this season, maybe.
Yeah, it's possible. It's possible. I just don't see him playing every week, especially with double game weeks like that as well. I just don't see him getting Golden Boot, but I think he will score goals. I think Sancho being in the team, a fully fit Rashford after the surgery can definitely help him. All interesting picks. I've Harry Kane and mine off the basis he goes to Man City. Look, if he goes in City, I echo what you say. I think he'd get 30-40. Because City are that good creatively. Like if Kevin De Bruyne is on form, and Gundogan's on form, Phil Foden, Jack Grealish, just ridiculous how many goals he could get. And the fact he drops into them little bit like positions to link up the play, I think he could make Manchester City such even a better team than they already are. He really improves them. But yeah, I've Harry Kane. But the only other outsider I'd have is Bruno, just on the basis that set pieces, free kicks, penalties, he does score from play as well. He does get a lot of goals, but I don't think he gets the numbers he got last season. They're off the scale. I think there will be a bit of a drop off, but it won't be a massive drop off. But Harry Kane, if you go City, look, I think he'll coast to it, to be quite honest. Quickly, just to wrap it up, I'm just going to go quick fire. For the last 2 topics, it's going to be quick fire to everyone in terms of first manager to be sacked and also dark horses for the season. So I'm going to go to Martin first. Give me your manager and to be sacked this season, and also the team you consider a dark horse in the Premier League this year.
Yeah, okay. First manager for me, I think, is unfortunately going to be Xisco at Watford. I think he'll be one of the first to go. I would have said Bruce, but I think because he's an Ashley man and until the takeover's resolved, providing Bruce keeps us in the Premier League, Ashley won't pull the trigger. He's got a rolling deal, so it won't happen. And then team to watch. I'm going to go with Villa. I think Villa are going to have a good season.
Yeah.
I'm torn between Villa and Brentford. I think Brentford will do well. I love the way they play ball. Really energetic, fast on foot, great transition. So I think they'll both have good seasons, but I just think, albeit Grealish is gone, I think Villa are due and going to have, as much as I hate to see Villa do well, purely for sob on the time when we got relegated. But I think, yeah, Villa will do well, I think.
Yeah, I'll go next. I'm in agreement with my one to watch. Villa are my team as well. I think their business has been very astute. Buendia, Bailey, Ings. I think obviously Jack Grealish is a loss, but when you consider them players they've brought in,
they've spent
makes their overall spine better. Yeah, their recruitment is good. And their midfield is very good, like Douglas Luiz, John McGinn in there, and then you have likes of Buendia and Bailey on the wings, really giving you direct pace and creativity, and then you have the likes of Ings, Ollie Watkins, players like that who are quite good, So look, I think definitely they're a team to watch. Look, the only other team I kind of say would be one to watch as well this year, would actually be Leicester. I think they could creep into the top 4. I think they could do a push on and get Liverpool out of there. As I said, I think their transfer business is very good and they've strength and depth. Now, the only thing I could think could affect Leicester is how they actually treat the Europa League, whether they go full tilt for or whether they balance their squad if they rotate. Be interesting to see what happens, especially the second half of the season in terms of how they approach both competitions. But yeah, they're my two teams we want to watch. And similar to Martin, I have Cisco as the first manager to be sacked. I think we all know Watford just they love sacking managers. They're like a B-Tech Chelsea. They're ruthless, but they're like, they're ruthless just to stay up. Chelsea are ruthless to win the league and the Champions League, in that respect, we talk about sacking managers. And my other manager I have there is Patrick Vieira. Again, just because I think he has a tough job in his hands. Like Palace using 10 first team players, Eze out for the start of the season as well. Like if he doesn't hit the ground running like Ronald De Boer did that time, or Frank De Boer was it, whoever it was, the one of the De Boers that was at Palace that time, where they lost like the first 5 or 6 games. Like, they could, as Reece said, they can move swiftly and maybe get a Sam Allardyce or someone like that in. But yeah, they're my 2 shouts for managers to be sacked and dark horses. And William, do you have anything different to myself and Martin in that regard?
To be honest, I had Vieira and Cisco as the 2 managers. Kind of, I'd say Cisco just about because Watford are incredibly terrible in that way, and they don't even do it for the good reasons. My one to watch was different, to be honest. As I said kind of earlier, it's Wolves. I honestly think that when they start playing a bit more attacking football, that they'll come out and they'll just surprise teams on how good some of them players actually are. When you look at the pace of Adama Traore, the likes of Podence, they still have Neto. And Raul Jimenez coming back, sure, he's back from a fractured skull and possibly won't be as good or confident. But at the same time, he might be back like he's never left. And when he was playing, he was a top quality number 9, one of the best in the league at what he did. And honestly, I think they've got a strong enough defense. They probably could use a few more signings, but honestly, I think they'll be right back up to where they were a few seasons ago, or at least in the top half this season. And in terms of Aston Villa, I just think their biggest loss won't necessarily be just Jack Grealish. It's also John Terry leaving as a member of the staff might actually hinder him a bit more than people realise.
Yeah, he's the defensive coach. That could be a loss. All I say is best luck to Axel Tuanzebe at Villa. Hopefully, he can stay injury-free and get games, because he did do well there on his loan spell in the Championship. So hopefully he does well there as well. Obviously, from a Man United point of view, it came through our academy. I always like to see one of our own do well. Chris, who will be your manager to get sacked and one to watch?
Well, same as you guys, Cisco or Vieira, to be honest with you. Simply because Vieira, he's not got the experience and he's got a shit squad, to be honest with you, that he's been left with. And Cisco, it's Watford. And like I said, right at the top of the show, they'll have probably had 2 more managers by the time they get to the end of the season. Dark horses, I always think there's a team that comes up that surprises. I can remember Blackpool coming up and they were top of the league for a few weeks, and then they stayed up. Sheffield United did it. Leeds have done it. I've got a sneaky feeling. They're obviously not going to win anything, but I've got a sneaky feeling for Brentford. I think Ivan Toney, if he gets his shooting boots on, I just think they're going to come in. They're not going to, everybody's favourites. Well, not our favourites, because none of us put them in the bottom 3. But the book is favourites to go down. There's no pressure on them. If they go down, nobody's going to go, oh look, weren't they shit? They're going to expect them to go down, and I just think that pressure's off them. And I think that I think they could do a Sheffield United.
There's always one team every season that nobody expects.
Yeah,
and they just have a season, and then it's a one-season wonder.
Yeah, exactly. They'll probably go down again. The season that Hull did it when Hull came up. They stayed up the first season, then went back down. It's that second season. There's not many teams have a good second season when they come up. Yeah, like Leicester and win the Premier League. But hey, just sneak that in there. But yeah, I say.
Let's hope Leeds don't do that. Let's hope Leeds go down.
No fear of Newcastle doing that, so you don't need to worry about us, lads.
Reese, do you have anything different, lads, in terms of wants to watch? Sorry, not the one to watch. That's still stuck in my head.
Managers
Managers get sacked and dark horses.
Managers to be sacked. Isco, I think, is going to get sacked first. I think Steve Bruce is going to get sacked. I actually think he will get the sack, Martin. I actually think this might see what William thinks. I actually think Arteta is going to get the sack as well.
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
a fun one, just because everyone loves a bit of fun. Thomas Tuchel gets binned, because that would just be typical Chelsea. That would just
is
be
this
typical
because
Chelsea.
are you only saying this now because you're having banter in the group chat, or is this a genuine prediction?
Well, you know about that banter, so like to Sean, that's what I think of you. And but no, in general, they done it. Like, to be fair, they done it to Di Matteo, and he won them the Champions League. Chelsea under Abramovich are a complete shithouse when it comes to managers. He does not care. And if something goes horribly wrong at the start of the season, I would not be surprised if he went, you know what, even though I gave you a contract, bye. I would not be surprised.
It depends, because they've given him back him in terms of Lukaku and
True.
And Koundé coming in as well. So I think they may give him time, and maybe the second half of the season. I don't think he'll be the first manager to be sacked. To be fair, like they've given him.
If he did though, that would be absolutely hilarious. To be fair, that was just to wind up Sean. I don't think he's going to get the sack. I think he's getting the full season, but I don't know how long he's going to last. I'm going to wind him up. I don't know if he'll get the sack, but I think if things go horribly wrong at the start of the season, he could be in with it, because it would be typical Chelsea. And Abramovich has got previous over the past 17 years. It wouldn't surprise me.
I wonder how much Chelsea have spent in compensation.
That, like, to be fair, he's used to handing the compensation. The guy's a walking charity box.
Yeah, he could probably fund a small African country, couldn't he?
He could do. He could just fund the NHS for life. I mean, he doesn't need to fund. He doesn't need to fund Chelsea. Just give the money to the NHS. They need.
I don't think I trust a Russian with an NHS.
For fuck's sake!
Just on that, so we got.
I want to watch this Brentford though.
Yeah. Just on that though, guys, we've got all.
That's William.
On that point, look, we've gone a long time, 1 hour 47 minutes. Haven't even realised we were live that long. So we've got the predictions in. We've got all different top sixes, all different relegation zones, golden boots. We will come back to this at the end of the season and see either how much we've got it right or how much we absolutely butchered it. And look, I did not go out on a limb this year and predict West Ham to get relegated, because we all know what happened last season when they done that. So I didn't go out on a limb with that one this season. But thanks very much, everyone, for watching. And just to let you know, tomorrow, Devil's Advocate will be live. And we're going doing our full Manchester United season preview tomorrow. And joined by two very special guests as well tomorrow. I will post that up tomorrow on our Twitter page at sportsarmchair_. So just in regards to that, do stay tuned for that. And also do check out London Lowdown this Friday as well. I will not be here. I'll be in Manchester. Absolutely pissed waiting for the Leeds game this weekend. So Reese will be taking the reins with the channel on Friday. And also do check out tomorrow as well. I am pre-recording a live interview. Sorry, not a live. So I'm pre-recording an interview with Eric Hare as he is fighting this Saturday on pay-per-view. So I'm recording an interview with him tomorrow, and that will be released on Thursday. So do check that out on the channel on Thursday as well. But until then, guys, thanks very much, everyone, for watching. Don't forget on the way out, do smash a like on the video. Do hit that subscribe button. And as always, we'll see you in a while.